Hi everybody, it's Caroline here. Welcome to my channel, and today I am working with the new Felicity collection from Traci Designs. This is the March collection. This beautiful stripe here, which I will be using in today's project, shows the palette. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I've already done about 3 projects I think with this kit, and I've got loads of papers still printed. This is the printable kit, by the way, digital or printable collection, and I've still got lots of die cuts, and I just know that I'm definitely going to be doing another run of my die cuts because I am so inspired to work with this. And today I am doing the Sketchy Sunday challenge. I'm fairly sure we're on number 36. I will put a link to Traci's blog post down below so you can see the sketch in its entirety rather than me holding up a kind of drawn version of it, and you can follow along. And I'm going to do something a little differently today. So Traci's sketches are always sized as a sketch at 12 by 12, kind of a square format, but she always designs the sketch so that if you want to work in a different format, so say a traveler's notebook page or a 6 by 8 album, that you can kind of split it. So she always designs the sketches so you can have a dividing line at some point and still use that sketch for a different format. And I usually translate the sketches into a discbound traveler's notebook size. So I normally use these papers at this size, and I translate the sketch. I move it around a little touch and work at that size. But today I'm actually going to work at 12 by 12 size for something a little different. And I don't actually have a large format printer. So whenever I work with Traci's printable collections at a 12 by 12 size, I always work with a piece of cardstock as my 12 by 12 background. And then I will layer up on top of that. But today's sketch does actually have a border around the edge of it. Now I was going to just not do that. Then I was going to print out at A4 size some strips and kind of match them together. But what I've decided to do, rather than do another print, which I could do, but I don't need to do because I've still got lots of papers, I've decided to work with this stripe, which, as I said, has got all of the colours from the collection in it. And I've started cutting strips. These are 1 inch wide at the moment, and then the full 8 by 8.25 inches tall. And I'm going to, as you'll see here, already done, I'm putting them together, and down the side of the page I will do the same here, there and there. And you can't tell that I've actually got a join. The join is actually here, but you wouldn't know that. So what I will do is I will layer the other strips kind of about there, and then I don't want this green. I'm going to have the craft cardstock as my background. I will layer that up on there, and then you won't actually know that this paper isn't a solid piece of background paper. So that is the plan. So the sketch works with 3 square photos, which I've already printed, and some tags. So what I'll do now is get you on fast forward and put this page together. Okay, so before I put you on fast forward, I just wanted you to see what this looks like in case, like me, you're working with a printable collection and you don't have a large format printer. So because I'm working with a stripe, that made it really, really easy to build over my joins here. So I've got a join, I can't even see where my join is. Here, I've got a join here and one here. So this is one piece of paper, this is another, then a join here. So this is one piece, that's one. And then here, this one's a little bit more noticeable because there's a little overlap there, but that will all be hidden soon. And these look a bit strange in the corners, but working with this stripe, what I've decided is I'm just going to have a really tiny bit of the stripe around the edge. So I've trimmed my craft cardstock down, and the way I did that was I actually put it onto, if you imagine this was not trimmed and it was a full 12 by 12 sheet, I lined it up to this first stripe here on the top left and to my join down on the bottom left, and then with my pencil I just made a little couple of notches and sliced this bit off. And then I did the same when I kind of got that into the right spot, which is there, and that's it. So it's not an exact square, and then lined it up with this one here, notches again, and then trimmed it off. Now what I will do is, it's not perfect. In fact, I can't work out which way it's going to go, so I'm going to have to just have a bit of a play, and there we go. And what I probably will do is add some stitching with my sewing machine at the very end, maybe up here and down the bottom here, something like that, just for a bit of extra interest. I could ink the edges of the craft, and I might do that. So what I will do is I will probably adhere this down, but I'll leave a good space around the edge without any adhesive, so that if I do want to either distress the edges or ink the edges, even though it'll all be nicely secured down, I can just lift it up, if you imagine, and just ink those edges. So I will get this stuck down, and now I'm going to pick my papers. I've got my photos printed. They're nice and muted colours. They're from a day out at Lake Vyrnwy in Wales. So there will be 6 on Traci's sketch. There are 6 tags, 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. 2 of the photos are at the top, and 1 of the photos I think is in the middle, but as I said, I will link you to that sketch. It's great that I've got all of the colours from the collection around the edge, so that means anything goes on this page. I could keep it nicely muted, I could bring in lots of different colours for every tag. Don't know the way I'm going to go yet. So I need to work out the size I'm going to make my tags, because I made my photos, I printed them too big. So rather than reprinting them, which I was tempted to do, I can't really cut them down because I cropped them so that everything that I wanted to be in. I mean, the point of this one was that I didn't realise I could see myself. I was taking a photo of the view, and I didn't realise I was actually capturing myself in the mirror, and I've got such a happy face that it was a really a surprising photo. So that's the main part of that, but I don't want to lose too much of that view. But I could crop that one, the one of our little camper. You know, I cropped this deliberately so that you had all these nice trees in. So again, I could cut that down. Yeah, I'll have a think. I'm going to see how it goes. I could cut them down to about 3 inches. They're at the moment, they are 3.75 each, so they're a bit too big to work with the 3 tags. So I'm just going to play around, I think, with some scraps of paper first to see what kind of size I need my tags to be, whether I need to trim these. If I do, I'll lose that white border, which is a bit of a shame, but I could always recreate that by just matting them on some white card first. So I'm going to sort out in my mind what I'm going to do next first, get things on fast forward, and then finally get this page put together. So thank you for bearing with me. Step 1 is to get some copier paper and cut some tags to check on size. These are 3 by 5 inches and they work really well with these photo sizes actually, so I'm going to go with these. And I'm trying to decide whether to stagger them or to stick with the linear design that's on the kit, but I'm going to stick with that linear design. So you will see me pull out all of the green toned papers and patterns from the kit to create my tags. I actually turn the camera off and forget to turn it back on when I create my tags, but I don't stick anything down. So you will see in a moment the page with the tags lightly tacked down, and then we'll go back to the video and you'll see what I do. So I actually walk away, turn the camera off, go to bed after a few family dramas, and this is the page that I come to the next morning, and I decide it needs a bit more. So I had a real play with some mixed media. I did lots and lots of ink splatters and some inking with some Distress Oxide, and I stamped with stencils and stamps, and I was really happy with how that looked. Most of it is hidden in the background once I've got those tags re-adhered, but it just adds that interest to that craft cardstock. And when I walked back to the page, I nearly pulled the whole thing up and used white cardstock instead of craft, but I'm really glad that I stuck with the craft, because in this collection there are a few elements of kind of a nice soft beigey brown kind of craft colour, which you'll just see on that tag that sticks out on the top left photo, the today element. So I'm really glad that I brought those in. And also it means that that twine that I'm using on the tags really works well. It just softens the look as opposed to with a white cardstock background. So if you have a look at the sketch, you'll see that there are a few embellishments scattered around, built up under the photos, just some, like you could interpret those lines as paper scraps or ribbons or word phrase stickers. So I have just used a scallop punch and one of my favourite patterns, that multicoloured heart, almost polka heart paper, to create my own kind of faux ribbon, if you like, just some paper strips that are sitting underneath my photos. I've opted to stagger the photos a little bit. So although the tags are in a nice linear design, I've actually staggered the photos so that they are a bit higher, a bit lower, sitting over the top of that centre tag. And that bottom tag there on the bottom left is actually one of the Traveller's Notebook signatures. It was sized perfectly that I could cut it into a 3x5" tag and still have that fantastic sentiment. So I was toying with the idea of using that sentiment as my title, and on the sketch the title sits in that top centre tag, but I've decided to just use it down there as a nice subtitle, a big embellishment, and really happy with how it looks. There are lots and lots of gorgeous florals in this collection, so I've actually already printed the floral sheet a second time, which is why I've got so many in my embellishment tray here. So I'm going to use those florals in clusters and scattered around in the spaces on the sketch where you've got that little star which represents your embellishments, and it just helps to soften things. It gives that more organic feel to a page that could have looked quite linear with just the tags. And I'm really happy to have been able to bring the florals in because they're always one of my favourite parts of Traci's collections. She always includes some florals. She always includes 3 sheets of die cuts, which are just fantastic. It's so amazing to have such a large amount of die cuts to be able to play with. So I've decided to bring in that heavy cork alpha from my stash because I've already got that brown in the background and I felt that helped. I was going to use a white, it just looked a little bit soft, and so I have found in my stash as well these cork hearts and stars. So I'm going to add a little cork heart to all of those embellishment clusters that show in the sketch, just to bring that heavier, kind of weightier colour around. And really pleased with how this is coming together after I had such a moment of kind of drama in the middle of it, which is when I just turned that camera off and thought I'm going to have to restart. So once I've added those in, all I'm going to really need to do is off camera add my journaling in onto my tag. So that will go on the bottom right hand tag, and I'm just sticking another one of the die cut embellishments, the die cut journal spots under my photo, and I will be messy stamping the date onto that photo. So journaling will get either written or typed onto this right hand tag. I was toying with the idea of taking this over to my sewing machine and adding some stitching on, but I'm going to go with it as it is because I love it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't already. Bye.